Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Miller and I'm going to read you the story of Ferdinand. And if you look on our front cover, right under the title, you can see our main character today. And no, it's not a little boy, it's a little bull, Ferdinand. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. What do you like to smell? He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under the cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he might be lonesome being all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was a very understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was a very big and strong bull. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. That's a city in Spain. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to just sit quietly under the cork tree and smell flowers. One fine day, 5 men came in very funny hats. And they do have different looking hats. They were here to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. Do you think they'll pick Ferdinand? Would Ferdinand be a good fighting bull? All the other bulls ran around, snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree and sat down. Oh, boys and girls, do you see something in the illustration that might happen? Let's read and see. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. You were right if that was your prediction. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that's just what this bee did to Ferdinand. I like the illustrator's expression on Ferdinand's face. You can tell he's shocked. He's surprised. And he's probably going to say, "Ouch! Wow! Did it hurt?" Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground like he was going crazy. The 5 men saw him and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest, fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. Look how high he jumped up. Would you jump up high if a bee stung you? Let's see how Ferdinand does at the bullfight. So they took him far away for the bullfight day in a cart. And there he is. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. Can you just hear the sounds of people clapping and cheering, the horses clopping, and this man is even blowing a trumpet. Everyone would be so excited. First came the bandoleros with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick the bull and to make him mad. Next came the picadors, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and to make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome, and he bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and he was going to stick that sword into the bull. I'm really worried about Ferdinand. Are you worried about Ferdinand? What's going to happen next? Then came the bull. And you know what? There he is. It was Ferdinand the Fierce. He doesn't look real fierce, peeping out. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderillos were afraid of him, and the picadors were afraid, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. Do you think that sounds like Ferdinand? No, but not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring and he saw all the flowers in all the lovely ladies' hair, he just sat down quietly and started to smell. Can you take a big smell? What are you smelling at your house today? He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the bandoleros were mad, and the picadors were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and his sword. Looks like he's even stomping his foot. So they had to take Ferdinand back home. He was not the right bull for a bullfight. And for all I know, he is sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. Boys and girls, I'd like for you today, for your response to the story, is to take out your notebook. Don't forget, I want you to put your date at the top, and I want you to draw a picture of what you like to do when you are all alone. When you sit quiet, what is it that you would like to do? And then I want you to write a sentence telling me about your illustration. Please remember that a sentence always begins with a big uppercase letter. There is space between our words. And of course, there's a period at the end of every sentence. If you want to ask a question, please use a question mark at the end of your sentence. If you're doing something that's not quiet and you're really excited, feel free to use a exclamation point. Bye, have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow.